Okay, so here it is fully reduced and we've got a nice long flower cane. So that's about it for all our canes. I'm going to go and reduce them down to the sizes that I need, and then I'll come and show you how to assemble the bead and cut out the shape. So to start, you are going to need a sheet of white, and this was rolled through on the middle setting of my pasta machine. And I'm just going to measure out how much I need. So here are the paper templates that I have, so I'm just going to use them to see how much I'm going to need. And I want earrings as well, so that should be enough actually. I just measure, yeah. Okay, so that should be enough for a pair of earrings as well. And I have these templates ready for you to download as part of the package, so that will also be posted along with this tutorial. Okay, so I'm just going to move this up a little bit and I'm going to show you the canes. So here was our cherry blossom cane, and then I reduced it down into separate sizes, as you can see. And so it reduced down pretty well. Yeah, I'll show you all of them. So I've reduced it down into 4 different sizes, and I did the same for our leaf cane as well. And then the flower cane I just kept the way it was. Okay, so these are the ones that we're going to use. So we will, oh, and also another thing, here's the lace cane that I did in the YouTube tutorial. You'll also need a lace cane. So we will first start with our cherry blossoms, and all you do is you'll take a nice sharp blade and chop as thin a slice as you can get. And don't worry if your slices are incomplete, like this one over here. They're all just going to stack up on each other, so if they're a little bit incomplete, don't worry about it. Okay, so I've chopped off a few over there, and then I'm just going to bring this forward a bit so you can see what I'm going to be doing. There we are. Then I'm just going to be popping these on top of the white. And now the reason the white is the background is because of the translucent in these canes. So the cherry blossom itself isn't translucent, but the background clay that we used is translucent, so you'll be able to see through that when this is baked. And then all the other canes that we're going to be using are also translucent. So you can use a black background, but I find that that tends to look messy behind the translucent, so I always like to use white or a light colour behind my translucent canes. So I just continue chopping up the large size of the cherry blossom cane, just like this, and just layering it, and then just bring over the other pieces. So this is the one of the other ones, which is fairly small. Just chop up a few of those and pop that in between the other canes. And we're going to flatten this, but you want it to look kind of like a jumble. So I'll build this section and then I'll come back and show you how to do the lace cane section. Okay, so now that we have finished, now we're going to start with our lace cane. And that's basically the exact same. We'll just chop up nice thin slices. The thinner the better, because then the translucent will be more translucent when baked, and so it gives you more of that 3D effect. And don't worry if the slices are incomplete like that. Okay, so you're just going to start on the rim, and now don't be afraid to overlap this part. We're going to add some more flower canes in this part later on. So you just want to hug the line over here and overlap if you can. And overlapping's fine because remember this will go translucent. And you'll just carry on doing that. And I just want to trim up this area because we don't actually need it. Okay, so I'll just continue doing that. Okay, so now we are finished popping the lace canes on. Now I'm just going to go back to the cherry blossom cane, and I'm just going to pop a few flowers over the lace cane, and that will give it that multi-layered effect, because a lot of this is translucent, so you'll be able to see layers. So just make sure that you take the time to create those layers. And it's also a good way to patch up any areas that might still be exposing white. And just remember to go to different sizes if you can, so you can see that's going to create a bit of interest. Okay, there you are, increased the edge. Now we are going to go over to our flower cane, the translucent flower cane, and we're going to cut nice thin pieces of that too, and we're going to put that along the line over here, just like that. And you want to do that the entire way across your sheet. Okay, now we can move onto our leaves. So now before we start cutting the leaves, we want to just mold this into the right shape. So I want to blunt up these edges a little bit and get this triangle to curve in on itself, just a bit, so you get a more leaf-like shape. And I'll do that with the other one over here, and I'll just show you. So you blunt up the edges first, and then you get it to kind of curl in on itself, and that will give you that nice leaf shape. Blunt the edges and get it to curl. Okay. Now we'll cut up one or two. We want nice thin ones. Then we'll just pop it along the border over here. And I'm going to leave as much space as I can for other pieces as well, because we want to put some of the smaller leaves along it. Okay, and you also want to have a few in the translucent area where the lace cane is. Okay, I'm just trying to get a nice slice. There you go. Just to make it a bit more interesting. There we are. Okay, I'll move that aside, and now we'll move on to the smaller one. And we'll just spot that around as well. You want to create a feeling of random, but you want it to be a controlled random. So I just continue doing this through the leaf cane sizes, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so now that that's done, we are ready to flatten it. So I'll bring over my acrylic roller, and you want to go slowly now because this is a fairly uneven surface. So you want to go in all directions so you don't get distortion in your shapes. And don't push hard. I'm not pushing that hard. I'm letting the roller do the work for me. So it's better to go over more times than fewer times. So it's better to go over more times with less pressure than more times with... Excuse me, I'm getting that wrong. It's better to go over more times with less pressure then less times with more pressure. Hope I got that across. Sorry, had a bit of a tongue twister there. But anyway, so take your time to fill it in. And so that's pretty good, but I'll go over and feel now, and I can see that there's a few gaps over here that are going to cause problems. So I'm going to bring over my lace cane, my cherry blossom cane, small one, and I'm just going to fill in those gaps, and that will just make it easier and we'll have less distortion. So I'll just fill in some of the gaps to make sure that we have nice even reducing, and just use your finger to go over and find those areas that are going to be causing problems. There's an area over there. Okay, and do the same with your lace cane over here. And if there's a problem, just take off a small piece of your lace cane and stick it in the place that it needs to be stuck. And that way you'll get a nice even reduce. Okay, so I just have to fill in one more spot. Okay, now I can continue flattening it. And I just want to show you the entire process so that I can show you how to fix it up. And remember to go in all directions. You don't want to be going in one direction. Just like that. Okay, now I feel it. We've still got a few spots, so I'll go back and fill in those spots, but this is for the most part flat. Okay, so it's almost flat. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sheet of plastic. Now I got this off of Lucy Clay Tools, and it has two sides. It's got a matte side, which is this side, and it's got a shiny side. You want to lay the shiny side down onto your clay. And then just flatten it out, and this helps me get it flatter. And I'll almost burnish it. And this gets rid of fingerprints as well. And then I'll just continue rolling. Now this is just a personal preference. You do not by any means have to do this. This is just some weird little habit I have. Okay. And don't forget tops and sides. This is a very important part, especially if you're not going to be putting resin on it. I am going to be putting resin on it so I can get away with it slightly if I don't flatten this out completely. But if you're not going to be putting resin on it, you want this completely flat, and so it's very important to make sure that this part is done properly. Okay, so now I'll peel it off, and now I'll feel it. And that's about as flat as you're going to get it. Okay, so that's basically what we are going to cut our templates out of. And here are the templates. So I'm going to start from this side and work my way over, starting with the earrings. Now, an important thing to remember when using these templates, since they are not symmetrical, is decide which way your bump is going and make sure that when you cut out your templates that they are all facing the right way, because sometimes you'll cut out a template that's that shape and then you'll accidentally lay down the next one and then you've wasted your clay because you can't flip it over and it's not symmetrical. So that's something that I find I do way too often. So I just wanted to point that out as something that you do need to look out for when you are doing this, because I fell for it a lot of times and it's pain. So we'll start with the earring, and I'll just work out where I want it to be. And you can see that this clay is quite sticky, it's grabbing at this paper. I want it nice in the middle, so we get a few cherry blossoms and some lace. And then I will actually burnish it down, and then I will cut it out with my cutter. And this is just a normal craft knife. And you want to try and be cutting straight down, so just try to keep your blade from going at an angle. And you want to take your time when doing this, because it's important. I can't really show you exactly what I'm doing because my hand needs to be straight up like this, but I'm sure you guys get the idea. We'll just go around the paper template. Be careful not to cut the paper template. That's something I've done way too much as well. And there we go. Okay, now I'll bring over my blade to lift this up. And there's our piece. Just move this out the way. And now you just want to take a bit of time to just go over and gently smooth the sides nicely, because your blade is going to leave some not so pleasant edges, so you just want to make sure that it looks as nice as you can get it. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just bring over my blade and then use the blunt side to gently smooth along the edges. And that can help. Okay, so just take your time with these shapes, because especially with the paper templates, they're not as accurate as a Kato would be. So just make sure that you spend enough time making sure that these are nice and even. Okay, so that's the first one, and I would do that with all of the others. Okay, so here are all the beads cut out and ready to go. I've smoothed around the edges, and now I'm just going to go and get rid of any fingerprints that might need to be gotten rid of, and then we will do the backs. So just smooth it out. Okay, and now we're ready to do the back. So I'll just put this to the side for the moment, and I'll bring over a piece of Kato black. And now you can put any texture you want in here. I have this little sponge piece that I like to use. It's, I'm not sure if you can see that on the black, there we go. So you can use any sponge. And this is what I like to texture. So I'll just take it and press it into the clay, and it gives a really nice texture. Now any sponge will work. You can just go to your kitchen area and get a sponge and it will work. Sandpaper works pretty well as well. Any texture will work for this. So you don't have to use this. But you want to try and get that texture in nicely. It's a very subtle texture. It's not like sandpaper where it's more obvious. So I'm just rolling it onto the clay to almost give it a matte look. And then this is black, so it's not very easy to see the texture. So I'll just bring this up so hopefully you can see that it's got a nice matte texture, but you'll be able to see this once it's baked. So I'll just see if I can direct the light. No. But it's got a really nice matte texture to it. So I'm just going to flip this. And then I'll bring over one of my beads. And now this is a very delicate operation because you don't want to disfigure your beads. So you have the option of baking these and then putting the back on, or you can put it on while it's raw. I want to put it on while it's raw here because I want a nice bond. So you'll just cut it out very carefully. Sorry, I go quiet when I concentrate. There you go. Pick that up. Move that out of the way. And then we just want to smooth off the edges, and you can go back and trim it off with your knife just to make sure that it's nice and tidy. Okay, and then don't worry about the edges. That will get taken care of once these are baked. Now that piece of black was rolled through on the middle setting of my pasta machine, which is 04. Now I'm just going to come back and I'm just going to very lightly texture it in case I flattened out any of that texture. Okay, and I'll do the exact same for all the other beads. So I'll just see if I can catch the light with that now. No, not really. Okay, so I'll do the same with all the other beads and then we can bake them. Okay, so I finished that. And here they are. So I'll just show you the backs. So the backs are nice and neat. The sides, however, are not neat, but I will show you how to clean up these sides once they're baked, because it's not really going to do us any good trying to do it now, trying to fix them now. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to get rid of any fingerprints that might be here still. And this is quite important. So just go with your finger and smooth over the bead and just make sure to get rid of anything. I've been very careful up until now not to get fingerprints on it by not pressing too hard on the bead, but you always want to go and double check. And I've got two. I had enough for 2 pairs of earrings. So I've got 2 pairs over here, which is good. Oh, and by the way, I do have my Etsy shop up and running, so all the tutorials that I show you, the pieces that I make in the tutorials, will be on my Etsy shop, if you guys are interested. Just wanted to let you know. Okay, so now that's done, I'm going to go get a piece of paper. And here we are. It's just a piece that I use. It's a little old, so it's kind of clear compared to normal pieces of paper, but I'm just going to transfer all of these pieces over onto the piece of paper like this. And this is just good for baking. And I'm just going to take this sheet that I had and I'm going to lay it over these, and I'm just going to gently burnish the surface of these beads. And this is just another way to get rid of fingerprints, because you don't want fingerprints, it makes it look unprofessional. And of course we can sand it afterwards, but it's easier to get rid of them now, so why not get rid of them now? Okay, then I'm going to pop this on top of my ceramic tile that I bake them on. And I always bake it on a ceramic tile, which prevents scorching. And this I'll pop in the oven for about half an hour on 275 Celsius. Oh wait, no, 275 Fahrenheit. 275 Celsius, that would definitely burn them. So I'll bake those at 275 Fahrenheit and 130 Celsius for about an hour, because I just want to make sure that they're nicely baked through before we pop those borders on. So I'll see you when they are baked.